o bona moruti ka dile mathaithai ene o smart o bua ka metsotso ene o ja metsotso ya hae moruti mchiva
Bishop befundisi izingwevu zakuthi abefundisi bonke mandibulise mo lebitsong le le matla la morena wa rona Jesu Kriste amen ngelishwa andikwazi uthetha akikhona ubua xa ndishumayela ndiphathwa ngamafufu lo verse ndibenye ndiyohlala phansi andikwazi uthetha ndawumosha izinto andikwazi ushumayela ndinamafufunyana bethe ndikule icebo lokudla umvubo kokuzilalisa bawo mandibulele ngethuba ondipha lona xa 1995 sasiya kwi-BMC ePietermaritzburg ndandiqala ebomini bam ukubona umntu otya inkukhu ezimbini azigqibe asele ne-2 litre yecoke ayigqibe sibuze nomfundisi uMandindi sawutya ntoni ngokuthina hayi ndingamakhwenkwe anizutya nto nina yangutata ukit ke lowo ayontsomi nyani but for the first time ndothuka naphantsi kuba sithi hayibo Linda ngawuyifuna nalapho phantsi kwesitulo le nkukhu umama Sepanya oba ndingathetha ngaye I'm becoming so emotional. She saved my ministry. She saved my life. She saved my soul. Xa yayidilikile icawe iwile phansi flat kungekho mali bonke bemele mva kunalento kuthiwa yi-DTP amabhulu endihlele entanyeni apho ndikhona ndishumayela Africans sina 4th year Heidedal dit was tussen die boom en die bas dit was Beeg of Bars dat ook Spogas fonela umama Sepanya umcele ndihamba naye kuya kwi-DTP. She was not a steward, she was nothing. That cela lo mama, you know, food. I'm so surprised uthando lungaka wayelithatha phi ngelo xesha ndandilidla phi idlakadlaka inikini into engento ndiqhutyiwe njengompha exposed ubecinga uba ungubani na yena azodilisa icawe yethu lithe elinye ibhulu would they say VJ how can you bring down the whole church? I took a Corsa, that small car. Ndehla. Oh, waziswa ngumfana. Samthatha. Sibabini 2. Siyosimela le building. There was a white guy wayepha ekhoneni owayengafuni nova. It was 2 things, whether the church expels me or suspend me, something like that. Kodwa wema umama Sepanya wema eyedwa wema wanixhasa eyedwa And apparently, the questions that she was questioning inside that meeting, wangeke usimele. Kodwa ekugqibeleni, wathi umuntu, no man, nansi lento niyifunayo. Wathi the next, nifunani? Another one ekhoneni wathi, no, grant them the permission to build. And if it was not Umama Sepanya, your development, it would have been here. I'm not here to bury Umama Sepanya. I'm here to draw a strength from her life profile. I'm here to say to her, thank you to the family. Ngomso isinodi siyaqala eBloemfontein. With immediate effect, I must drive back. Kodwa, I've said, let me go and draw strength. Ndiyothatha amandla. Xa ndiphuma apha, ndiqinisekile. Amandla endinawo ayawubedlula lawo abendinawo. Sometimes you do things unaware, thinking you're doing them for yourselves. She has transferred this strength sakhe kum. I can feel it. That's the reason why I'm here. Leka metsotso, leka metsotso, Second, Diabulela, thank you very much. Befundisi Diabulela, I want to say thank you to the family to afford me the opportunity and the chance to come and talk. Mama, thank you very much, Diabulela. Jesu Baba Jesus, we
we are bearing an educator. We move on. And the question arises, Batswadibak, from these three tributes. Now I ask myself the question, and I hope you are not Kaipotayo. What difference am I making in my own setup? What difference? Am I a change agent? That's why I give this is a Muruti, Hatramu, Abida Babali, nobody, Meula Babali. The color and food is one. The color. When the color 3, we have travel a longest distance. Mfundi Zutawala Kulai next door, and then Mfundi Zumtambo neighbor. We have Pumawenyi province. Thank you for the effort. 3, Balatelane Hape, former scholar, Mr. M. Wakudi, family rep, Tamusha Sipamla, former colleague, Mrs. M. Marite, best friend uqala yena ke re ke ba masibi mo next door mo ba masibi ba bangatanyana mo next door mo just behind Moshweshwe akere ke tseba geography ya moja ke tlompa ambe Mohlakeng hobane ila etsa sure le nna ke bitswe husband and mama is eating fruits from her labor hobane hana le matlapaneng kwa. Part of the pupils was my partner. So I'm duty bound to be here. Thank you. So, Trudy, family rep, Dr. Moshe Sepanya, Babararu Balatelane, Fela Juan. And then this time, I gave Rufe Bahina, Baba Emis. Bahina. And I know Mohlakeng is one of the areas and a lot of stars that it has produced. Now, I'm afraid Ikarbaina Kitoba sideline and Sebali ground. Kitoba sideline, Banzabalite, Uban Ubafa Munwan, Babatlanitso. An announcement. And then Urumwe, she's going to read the speech as it is, and then Gibatafela Feteka Spitimo announcementing it, then the reform.
One heart, one way. The undertaker has asked us to make an announcement quickly that the service is now live on Facebook and on YouTube. So for family members that might want to communicate with those that are distant, they can do that. You just search G. Green Berrien. If you find one of the two of us around, they can help you to get the link, and then you can send it out. Thank you.
And allow them Murbalin Sebaliku.
Thank you. Dumelang Bahulu, Baruti, family, and the congregation, and all protocol observed. I'm here on behalf of my mother. She's written something for Auntie Mampho. I will read it. It will take a little while, but Gyakopa. Thank you. In fond memory of my dear friend and sister, Mampho Sepanya, a dear and genuine friend for 64 years. She was always caring and supportive. In 1957, my husband, Dr. Mokate, and I decided to start a medical practice in Krugersdorp. We were the first black doctors to establish a medical practice on the West End. We knew nobody in this area, but we ventured to move here all the same. A few months after we had started the practice, Dr. Mokate met Mr. Arthur Sepanya at a community meeting. During the course of their conversation, Arthur discovered that Dr. Mokate was the new doctor in Krugersdorp that he had heard about. Mohlakeng in Randfontein was a newly established township as people were moved from Matutulaville to Mohlakeng. Arthur saw the opportunity to invite Dr. Mokate to also open a practice in Mohlakeng. We quickly saw the opportunity to advance our services to yet another community. Arthur then introduced us to the relevant authorities, and by the end of 1958, we were given a premises at number 10 Zolo Street, Mohlakeng. Our friendship has continued to grow over the years, as the years went by. We would meet as friends at our respective homes on Sunday afternoons and have enjoyable discussions amongst the four of us. Dr. Mokate and Arthur would be having their shots of whiskey, and Mampho and I would be having our repeated cups of tea. At times, the two would engage in their own discussion while Mampho and I would have our own. Most of the time, we would have discussions about separate community involvement issues. I was engaged with a child welfare NGO, which ran an ECD program, while Mampho was a principal of a primary school. Mampho was also an executive committee member of the progressive women's organization called YWCA. This organization groomed young women in self-confidence and work ethics. Some of the young women groomed by the organization hold responsible positions in government and other private sector today. Our conversations were always progressive and refreshing. No gassy gossip. Mampho would always say, gossip is for idle minds. She did not like to indulge in idle talk. Our friendship as families did not just end with the two families, but spread to our respective extended families. The Sepanyas were connected to the Langas and the Mokates, and we were also connected and introduced to the Sepanyas, Sepamlas, and Sijanamani families. Our friendship became so close that no occasion, whether sad or pleasant, would take place at the Neither would anything happen at the Mokates without the Sepanyas. That was a given. As families, we took our children out to picnics together, and they would be playing together and enjoying themselves. As a result, they developed a close relationship as kids, which they have maintained in adulthood. My wish and hope is that those relationships would continue after we adults have passed on. That's a wish. After both Dr. Mokate and Arthur passed on, may their souls rest in eternal peace, Mampho and I continued with our friendship. It became even closer. She remained the same Mampho, genuine, caring, supportive, and always appreciative. She became more of a sounding board for me. I knew I could go to her whenever things did not seem right. She would not hesitate to say, my friend, your route is not quite right. I think this is the better way to go. Go and think about it, and then make a decision. She would never force her way. She would give the advice and let me take my own decisions, of course. Of course, I would have to take the responsibility for the consequences. This is the Mampho I have known for 64 years, always the same. Genuine, forthright, no pretense. I am truly grateful to have had Mampho on my side. On hindsight, I have come to believe that what God has put together, nobody will break apart. It is not accidental that Dr. Mokate and Arthur met at the community meeting. It was God's grace. Having brought us together, nothing could break us apart. Only death was able to do so. In the past few years, we have not been able to meet on a regular basis because of failing health on both sides. The last time we personally met was about 6 weeks ago at Mampho's grandson Utsile's wedding. As I have stated, no occasion could be complete if the Mokates were not present. We spent a good bit of the afternoon together. Little did I realize this would be the last time I see Mampho. Fortunately, I have a photo of the two of us. Go well, Mampho. Thanks for everything. I'll definitely miss you. You have fought your fight gallantly. You have run your race gracefully. May your precious soul rest in eternal peace and rise in glory. Farewell, my friend. Thank you.
Matludi? Oh, ke Modise, Bishop Modise, mme sebeditse.
Bracket, re go dumedise program director, ke dumedise baruti, ke dumedise the Sepanya family, le Sejana Mani, ke dumedise bomme le bontate mo leineng la morena wa rona Jesu Kriste. Amen. Ke tlo kopa my friend, my leader, indulge for a few, maybe 2 more minutes, because I'm speaking on behalf of many scholars or students or people, principal at the producing, and I have to go 50 years back in memory. And I must say, it was a very pleasant travel back in memory to remember the things that we have learned. And I must honor Family Sepanya, like Brakita Buile Hore, Bamamela Ditael. I think if they didn't allow Mongwe Khotswalapeng House Violet Moatludi to speak in this funeral, Okaberbona le boxi le ditsikiknyega, Maspanya atsosa murusu. Ula atsosa murusu kolifunga my grandmother House Violet Moatludi. For some reason we omitted to tell her that she passed. And then about the grandson, ngwana Mutsidisi gore ke bone kokona nkgodisa ko diale kwa, and she came fuming. How dare we not tell her Mama Atludi urisile? So we had to be on our knees, apologize, and Ramukenya limo program to show how sorry we were, because they had a very special relationship. Brakita, I've entitled my tribute, I was glad she was there. The reason I'm saying that the man that I am today is because of the foundations Sepanya laid in my life. And not only in my life, but I went and spoke to a few people that we grew up under her leadership. And they too became the people they are because of those foundational lessons that we learned. You must remember that she became a principal during a very hard, racist Bantu education. That was also very sexist, but as a woman, she rose to the ranks and became a leader. The leaders that we have become is because of the lessons that we learned from her. One of the things that really I take to heart is the humility that she displayed. My grandmother would be what we today call a house executive. She never went to school, but they had a very special relationship. Hakibula Matlo Kitutuha Maspanya was already there. She was always at our 3-roomed house, opposite the school. She would come, what's going on here? One of the things that she did is that she respected my grandmother even when she didn't go to school. What also I learned is that she was a very, very articulate person, very clear, nakona hui expresser, and I think those lessons rubbed off my grandmother and were passed on to us. Hadi Inspector Kapabaiti, Bacha ko school, she would come, and there I learned planning. She would come 2 or 3 days before and prepare my grandmother for my grandmother had a very special tea set Ibiza ya Majuta. So it was something they shared together. So my grandmother natlatswa masela awa keni jiki le starch, so that half fitla atlo di collector in the morning. The scones are ready, teapot ya Majuta ready, the trade ready, who serve the inspectors or the guests that she had. But also, my grandmother used to look after Bana. Maspanya, I think she understood that those children were actually a feeder into the school, because she was monitoring. Mar asabons orwa monitor. She would come, her tolerably fairly. And she would insist that reclape. You know, as boys, but we learned from her. I remember when I went to you know, I really toilet, and we wanted to shoot to the roof. And then she was brave to come into the toilet. Yabasimani. So and then Rubato Matela ko classing abare khala tlhapa matsogo. So she will send us to the tap rilo tlhapa matsogo. And then that stayed with me. Gona no ga re bua ka COVID gore go tlhapiwa matsogo bracket. Now I learned it from there. I remember on my first trip ke ile ko London, ha re tswa ko meeting re kena toilet, magoa I couldn't do it. I had to go pompong kilo tlhapa matsogo, and I've maintained that throughout my life. The other lesson, ne re letsa bela ke re ko sekolong. So sometimes ga o tswa ko toilet a go thotse ko toilet o fitlile o tla go biletsa ko officing a re ke blotonyane mo burukhumbu. Or hey, principal, about my boy, we took a letter bell again. So how look at toilet? Let's bell. So that you don't blot your trousers. And Kileta bell sings. And I hardly blot my trousers. So one day, one of my friends, Nam Kuputsa Mavaniki, Motorobata Kibukai. Abaro wa gopola ne re batla go itse gore banyana ba plota yang bo ba letsa pere yang kore a re khwathisa the whole day. But one of the things she did as well, onare ruta food garden. There was no way that we could go hungry because naru ruta gore re jale yang. You know, she was a community builder. I learned that from her when I started being involved in the community. Kabitsa batho ba ko COJ ka re ke dula ko Johannesburg batlo ruta the community go jala dipeo. They just said you just need a door size, a land. O ka khona go fepa family for the whole month. Ka go jala fela di spinach, dilonyana tse jwalo. And I recalled, Horma, that's what she used to say to my grandmother. Ne re jala liphuthi, re jala ditamati, re jala all these things, re khona go fepega. Ne ke le lefung la ntate Mofokeng a few days ago. Ke shebile bashimane ba palla go tshela mobu ka re ba sena matla ha ba nonofa. So ke re ko rena a ke re jale it's a revolution ya di food gardens in honor of Maspanya, because that's what we learned. And then these days how about ruta gore sontso je di vitamin those things ne re di bitsa di agamele bracket tse ne re rutwa tsona ko Maspanya. So you'd eat healthily because of dijo tse na ruta tsona. The last lesson that I want to share ka Maspanya ko gore Maspanya, over and above humility, over and above being a community builder, I was glad that she was there in my foundational phase, because Enele also someone who was very supportive of other people's ideas. When my grandmother bona gore sometimes batswadi ba ba sallang bana ga ba patele a batla go augment her income ka go qala some entrepreneurial ventures, Maspanya was there to encourage gore a tlo rekisetsa bana stampa. mama ka my grandmother na phega stampa ka break re se rekisetsa bana. She would even say wa sa edi di sweets, wa o sa edi di orange ka mariga, so that bana ba fumane di vitamin, but also they would be able to support business yang khonwaka. I'm an entrepreneur today because I learned that from Mema Sepanya, a supporter my grandmother. So these are the lessons that I would like us to pass them on. Or if she was not there, perhaps when Kabu Madimabi in your life, take a page from her life today and learn these principles. Tsago supporter, tsago collaborator, tsago respect about irrespective of their class. Even during the very difficult times apartheid, where she was meant to dial down dikelelo tsa bana ba batho ba batsho, to be mistresses and also to be gardeners. In conclusion, Mudula Stulo ke bua ka mistress. I remember hone ko tripping ene ke bua ka yona ko re tlotla, so ke bua ka Maspanya ke ntse ke re my mistress, you know, my mistress and my grandmother, this is what they used to do. So ke bona it's British ke batho ba di tshele ntse ba shebana ke ipotse gore what is that thing ke sa e buang sentle ko bona mistress ke nyatsi, so ba re motho o introduce nyatsi ya gagwe ko grandmother ya gagwe. So ke ile ka ithuta sekgowa ka tsatsi leo, ke a leboga retso le tshedisegeng.
A ke re le utlwile a bua ka diagamele, example la bona exhibit, a ke le bona exhibit. Rona re bale in our dictionary the word ke khots le replace ke samoma. Atamela enda Espanya, atamela o tloemela. In fact ke kopa o dule mo. Just after the former scholar, I'm changing the whole thing, the former colleague, lelo na ba hopotsa gore ba ringe jwang dibel Mema Marite, just after the former scholar, the former colleague, before to introduce the family rep, I would need to get that sequence. Even there's other colleagues who are here, but in respect of the Bafetsila, please. I know you're doing a good job to capture the event, but Akira Aditi the speakers the colleagues. Please, so that we get that link from the former colleagues. In touch. Yeah. No. I can't colleagues. Please, but get educated. Never tell you don't it's a pam. It's a so scared mess up. The colleagues come forward and then bomama. Ha aketa. Leka kena ekasfila lilukisetsa the family representative because janu ke bana ba mme ba tametsa sebui sa bona. Okay? Ke tla falona. Ba bua jwale hore wena o tlanka morning class, wena evening. Banana ba staff room. Mema Marite?
Ke batla go lukisa taba ya Mema Marite. Na ke Mema Marite. Mampho na ka ska dumella gore o mmitse ma sejana manna tore ke Mrs. Sepanya. A ke Mema Marite. O nnyadisitse Mampho. O nnyadisitse Mampho, so I'm no longer Miss Marite, I'm Mrs. Apan. Thank you. Re tla tsumulla ka go opela sefela sa mmarona Mema Sepanya. Se ikotlelo sa ko Malerato. Sekolo se ne se itsiwe motlhakeng kaofela. Sekolo se se tona ne high school ya primary schools. the best school. I'm proud to say it, the best school, unbeatable school. O fetang go bua fana a re mema Sepanya o ne a mo ruta. Sepanya was not alone. O na na le team, and a very strong team. O na na le team, a very strong team. E le bonang e le fana. Ba bang ba meteletse pele. O kopana le bona ko pele. Ba ne ba bereka. Ne re sa je. Let me be named Pilesifil. Ke di kitse boko la kwa sejana mane ke boke mosadi o robetseng fane. Mampho ka re tsama sentle. O rutile matitjhere, o rutile le bana ba sekolo. O na ruta le rona re le matitjhere because we started being very young. Ha re simolola go ruta. A re ruta go apara. E re ha o kena ko sekolong kwana. A go shebe maotong ana. Ar hawatina or makalor au kan take aga para Moses ar hawatina, that means you must put on stockings. Re feleletse re reka di costume gore re me presentable ha re ya sekolong. There was a principal wa go Krugersdorp o natla ile ha re shebella ara I wish I can take you to my school and let my teachers see how teachers were. Ne re a tsamaya re rwele dikwaikwai ha re ya ko sekolong. Mara ha re kena ka class ne re di latlhana re kena di slippers because now re berekana le bana. Ne re berekana le bana. And ha o kena mo tlaseng ha ona nako ya gore o dule mo fatshe. O ikutlwelle because o tla ba tsamana mo stupong. We started really 8 classrooms. Ile ene wa bo 8. Go to Malerato and see how many classes are there. O tlogetse a strong foundation. Ile ha kena bo principal in Bahai. People started bringing children to Malerato. Nerelatela Pahama Karol. Pahama had the very high role. Elato like Malerato. Nabaibita Junior Pahama. Teachers bako higher primary. Nabalone labana barona. Hakoto ngwana tla go Malerato. They will fight for those children because they know 3 R's. Una ibitsa yalo. Reading, writing, and Reading, writing, and what's that? Reading, writing. I forgot the third. Arithmetic. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Una specialize at it. But they knew how to do mathematics. And then they repeated arithmetic by then. Mathematics was the best lesson in Maspanya. And I wrote myself. And I wrote Senate 2, a treasurer. Can I collect the shillet? I'll go and do the finances. And then I will continue with mathematics. Mathematics. Me Maspanya matlare hey, wetsi ke ne ka rutwa ke teacher o mongwe mathematics wa dile antensa mathematics. Then because ke bone math, ke bone gore mathematics is not a difficult subject. But it's so difficult that when it's hard. But agriculture, because mathematics was difficult. It wasn't. Not with Malerato pupils. Mas manena engineers. Pela ka botlhoka ke shebane kere. Pa kae bana ba Malerato. Pa kae bana re ba ruta. Bagay. Hagele bone. Libikinyan. Wait in it, 8 classrooms. Baki sabana koskolo sabna rasmula ra teacher platoon system. Rekena ka 12 o'clock ma 11 ki bao. In the morning from 7 to 12 o'clock, and then from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. From 7 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Una salta mai. Una dula. Aeta yo. Ashebla di buka sabana. Asheb di class with matisha ba una si. Bane ba tlogela. Is too much. They left teaching, but Rona Raisoka Mutasaha leadership. Remember Mena was strict, very strict. This woman is a great leader. Only the qualities of leadership. But I'm by to tell her who leaders, not Maspine. She was a born leader. Una to sell the inspector, she was a great leader because she was truthful. A leader must be honest. Because her as an need, the subordinates. She was a great leader, health-wise. The principal is calling you. No such a maya. We are more office in Utata Maya. I was Shabella for Utamaya. In the house, not my higher for retirement. Kiakwa Chabana are king when no Karun. Because of no shortly, are no shortly. Karakuna and Tamisanka Spitak. Ma'am, I'm sorry, just give me. Okay. Ma'am, onanali batwana bamutusa. Kumalerato, honali a plan every year. My grade 7, and I used to go to Cape Town, sometimes I go to Durban. Ke hopole re go Cape Town, re ile ka di bese tse 2. First bus ya tsamaya Cape Town, ha re kena go Cape Town go. It was a fine weather that week. Re dutse. Ba ba motho ba tla the next week. Bosigo Mrs. Sepanya na sa robale. Ona nna ka thobane yana ka mo go robala bashimane, ka fa go robala bashimane. Are ke batla bona ha o ka tlolela ka mona le moshimane o go shapa tlhogena ka thobane. That was Mrs. Sepanya. Una kena ko sekolong number 1 go Jardinia school, and she was the last to leave the premises. As a tshwanele rona ke tla ntse re shebile gore e tshaya ya 2 o'clock mara ha o tswe o sa fetsa mosebetsi wa gago. That was Mrs. Sepanya. Let me make the analogy ya soccer and Malerato. Ke tshwantsa Malerato le soccer. Mrs. Sepanya was a goalkeeper, the last line of defense. Goalkeeper la itse ya man goalkeeper ke. E shebella ke yone e meng ko morago kwa e shebile gore mang o etsa eng, mang ha etse eng, a bitse o la re ha o ka ema yana dilo di tla loka. And then anale ba thusi ba gage, the goalkeepers, kira ile defenders, Mamutlako, Tabalaka, Ledwaba, Mohlokwane van Wyk. Midfield, ile Sejwe Binang Klapo, Marewa Zama, and then the striker was Apanim. Why get as the striker? I copied that woman to the T. Ile has no for retirement. She was called to be a principal go FG Welsh. Afitla tatamulla yana principal o a chika bankanya school sa go Welsh, Mrs. Sepanya. When I took my retirement, I was called Galo teacher ko St. Peter's ko Luciam. Kona atswate. Bona ke tsamaya mo dikgatong tsa Mrs. Sepanya. Kona kotla department at least competition ya teachers awards. Ka join teachers awards. Ka beriksa di tactics tso ke tsa Sepanya tsena a di ruta tsone. Ha ba mpotsa dipotso di 15 educators go national. Ka dirisa everything that Sepanya taught me, and I became number 1 nationally. Sepanya also lene hwana motho o reng batho go make you o dirileng o tla bua motho wa ikitse lena a re Mrs. Sepanya thank you ha se ba bangata. So I'm proud to say I'm a national winner of education in the West Rand. Since the winner, nobody else won it. Thank you.
There's a problem with teacher. What's a mali maiki? Oh, no. Class. No. I'm put out of responsibility. Now, it's a big boy. It's a reminder.
One heart, one way. Ke kopa ho the search criteria by capturing ka di phone by Romela. It's G for the letter. Okay, G for the letter gorilla, a dash or a hyphen, and then green, the color green. So it's G dash green, and then the next word is Berrien. Berrien is BURRIE, and N, not burial, Berrien. So it's BURRIE, And if you see us walking around, it's printed on our uniform here. So it's G- the color green, Berrien, B-U-R-I-E-N. Thank you.
Bomme ba ka ke a le kolota. Bothata ke bile the colleagues. If it claim di bina the national anthem, yeah, Northwest, so ke a le kolota. I'll come back to you. The Dr. Sepanya is here. He's going to be speaking to us now. Tisko sana ngatumela. Nna ke tla fumanela sebaka sa ho dula. Tisko sana ngatumela. Bright Hour Women's Fellowship ngatumela. Rep ya YWCA Memanakedi ngatumela. Regional Rep Maustofile Sondelani Gim. In that order, please. Ngifuna la ituze kwami. Because ngiyamuva manje. Ngiyamuva manje. Manga sondelanga ungablame mina. Siyamuva manje sinika the doctor kungena umsana kethu usikhosana. After that to Pride Our Women's Fellowship rep. After that local rep YWCA Mama Nakedi. Where are you? Dula mumme shifta pro atlale la me stofile upi is this kuyashukunywa mina performing arts, the show goes on. I am this one, I am, otherwise uzosikhomba ngomuntu. Hlala lapho, hlala la wena yahanjwa. Thank you. So I got to talk. Come in, just like that.
Thank you, Brakit. Good morning, everyone. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ today. We are gathered to celebrate the life of Mampho Pauline Sepanya. Note that I've said celebrate rather than mourn. Le ha dipelo tsa rona di utlwile bohloko, re leboha Modimo for a life well lived. Mampho lived such a fulfilling life that we can only but celebrate. Let me at the outset explain the relationship between our families, the Sepanyas and the Sepamlas. Let me also explain that it is not a sign of disrespect when I refer to her as Mampho, because that is how she was affectionately known. She commanded and demanded a great deal of respect within our family, but also throughout society. I'm sure many of her students will attest to this. So disrespecting her will be the furthest thing on anyone who knew her and had the opportunity to engage with her. Wherever you went, people who speak about her gave you that sense of respect that she commanded. She was the wife of the late Arthur Sepanya, Uncle Arthur as he was affectionately known. He grew up with my late dad, Sipho Sepanya. They were first cousins in the sense that each had a parent that were siblings. Nkgono Noma Sepanya was the only girl in the family of 7 brothers. But my dad and Uncle Arthur grew up and considered each other practically as brothers, and they grew up as such. When my father's parents died while he was still a child, the Sepanya family took him in, and so Uncle Arthur looked after him as his younger brother. Mampho, being the Makoti in the family, accepted and participated in grooming and guiding my father as an elder sister would, given of her time in such a task. When my father was sending a delegation to ask our mother for her hand in marriage, Uncle Arthur headed that delegation, and Mampho naturally played a supporting role as part of the negotiating group. Their relationship endured until Uncle Arthur passed on in 2005. My father was so devastated that he couldn't speak at the funeral. He was to follow him only 2 years later, having never recovered from the pain of losing someone he had considered not just an older brother, but also his mentor. When my mother, Marilyn Sepanya, passed on in 2013, the first person we called was Mampho. We looked to her for guidance, and we knew that she would take the leadership role in preparation of the funeral. She was the leader in our family. She spoke at my wedding, and she spoke so eloquently that my friends would jokingly ask me if I could ask her to speak at their family functions too. My wife was very fond of her and would often call her, and they would speak about everything and anything. My wife is devastated that she couldn't join us for this service due to engagements outside the country. Mampho was the type of person who would invite you to speak openly and plainly about all matters. She was indeed very opinionated, but also listened very well. We grew up visiting the family Momushake, and the trips would be an event that we would all look forward to because we would be traveling all the way from Benoni. Mampho and Uncle Arthur would welcome us into their family home openly. As children, we grew close to the Sepanya siblings. Bon Chabiseng, Opa, Tebogo Mtsidisi became not just our cousins, but also our brother and sister. Mampho would make sure that we maintain that closeness to this very day. Everyone in the family loved her unconditionally, and so everyone has been able to reflect and reminisce about her. Members of the family, those that I could reach out to, shared intensely moving and touching memories of her. These, amongst others, include her children and her grandchildren, and they have all reflected on their best and most abiding memories of her. I couldn't possibly capture all their thoughts and memories in this short allocated time, but these are some of their memories that they shared with me. Opa says the following: Mampho's best qualities was that she was first and foremost an educator, but also a parent to everyone. Mampho had a sharp intellect, an incredible mind. She remembered people and events like they were happening yesterday. She was fiercely independent and spoke her mind, not in an imposing or arrogant manner, but in a motherly way. I'm glad she didn't suffer much. She became agitated in the latter stages of her life when her memory lapses would surface from time to time. Being this fiercely independent person, it was a cause of great irritation to her for people to fuss over her. Even in her illness, she was disturbed, not so much by the illness, but rather having to depend on people to do things for her. Ausin Tabeng says, she taught me to respect everyone, whether you were a family member or a stranger. And she had time to even teach at home. She taught me to love God. She comforted me at my most vulnerable moment when I'd lost my mother. She was not just a teacher, but she was a nurturer too. I will miss her dearly. Mutsidisi had this to say: Mom was a very strict person and taught me never to tell a lie, even if it was just a little lie. I remember when I was in high school, I made a mistake of washing my socks late at night, and you've already heard how she was particular about how you looked. So Mutsidisi says, I was washing my socks late at night and I placed them near the coal stove for a quick dry. Unfortunately, one of the socks got burned and I had to borrow a sock from Tebo, thinking Mom wouldn't notice. Little did I realize that she had seen that my socks were unequal. And the next day, I received a serious beating from my class teacher after Mom had tipped her off about my indiscretion. She was a straight talker and didn't hesitate to set boundaries that you did not dare exceed. I feel like losing my mom has flawed me because I had now lost my beacon of strength, my caregiver when I was ill. She was my compass. The pain that I feel is unbearable. Ntabiseng would continue the theme of a disciplinarian when she related this. When I was a student at her school, Papa would drive us to school, but on occasion that Papa had to run his errands, we would walk to school, and Mampho would warn us that anyone who arrives after me would be late and therefore locked out of school. And so I would make sure that I walk ahead of her whenever I walked to school. I enjoyed no special privilege. She had an incredible sense of humor. She would take care of everyone. She taught me to remain humble. She would take some of our clothes to share with the less fortunate children and always encouraged us to blend in our community. She loved and protected her husband and would take a leading role on so many issues. And Papa, being laid back, would often let her. Papa once declared, when he was still alive, that I wish to be buried before Mampho because I would never have the strength to take care of her as much as she takes care of me. Tebogo reflected thus: I miss her teachings, the scriptural readings we shared every Sunday. She was both my mom and my anchor. She was both my mom and my anchor. She was someone who not only pointed out your failings, but also your success. And she was always prepared to sit down with you and reflect on both. She saw her role in the community as a social worker, and as a matter of fact, wanted to train as a social worker, only to find funding in a teaching course. In the end, she was a social worker when one reflects on all she achieved within the community of Muhlaking. Mpho Nojiwa, one of her grandchildren, reflected thus: she was a family person, a family-orientated person, always asking me about my family, my husband, my kids. She was God-centered. My best memory is the speech she gave at my wedding. She was still mourning the passing of her husband, and yet was determined to say her piece at the wedding. She had a stare that you would never mistake of anything but that of a disciplinarian. But she was also easygoing, referring to everyone as Mwanesu. Another grandchild, Utsile Mokhale, reflected as follows: there is nothing like a grandmother's love. It's deeper and unconditional. It goes further than the moon and back. It's warmer than a typical summer's day. Our Gran was always smiling. We, as her grandchildren, consider ourselves as the funny ones, and yet Gran was always the first one to make us laugh. Not having you around will be hard. It will take some time to get used to. We somehow can still hear your voice, and it has never been this profound. We will never forget you, Gran. This is a hard day for us because the selfishness in us never wants to let you go. We wanted you to be around forever, but of course, God had other plans for you. Go well, Gran. You have lived a long and a full life. Ausinsabeng, the matriarch of the family, is gone. It now falls on you as the elders to take up the role. And I understand Mampho knew that about you, and therefore left specific instructions for you to follow. Your task is to follow those instructions and fill those big shoes. I guess in the end, Tebogo's reflections were quite apt. She was a teacher as well as a social worker through all the projects she helped to start in her church and community, and therefore will be missed by everyone. She taught many in this community. She was a trailblazer. As one of the first female principals of a school to take up this role in what was then known as the Transvaal. She was no token appointment. She fulfilled that role with distinction. Robala ka kgotso Mokoena, you ran a great race.
I have been mandated with two conflicting things in Patuetlelo. I'm going to try to, in fact, I'll honor you, speak for 3 minutes. The family asked me to speak for 10 minutes in Yana. I'm just saying to you, but I'm going to speak for 3 minutes. Yeah, yes. Let me travel, or rather venture with you through a journey of history, geography, natural science, mathematics, and literature. The first country in the mother continent to achieve its independence was Ghana, under the leadership of the late Kwame Nkrumah. This was on the 6th of March, 1957. Kwame studied a master's degree at Lincoln University and at UPenn in the late 1930s and early 1940s. At his independence speech in 1957, Kwame spoke to the Ghanaian people in English. Halfway through his speech, there was dead silence in the stadium. One of his advisors told him that the people don't hear what he was saying because they could not speak English. Kwame stopped, cried, and reverted to speak in his native language. Well, if throughout my speech there's dead silence throughout the service, I'll also stop, cry, and speak in Setswana. Geography, that was a brief on history. Geography and natural sciences. There's a tree in West Africa, in Benin, Ghana, and Nigeria. It's called the Iroko. It's known as the lokop to the Yoruba people, whereas the Igbo people know it as Oji wood. This tree is native to the west coast of Africa. The tree can live up to 500 years. The wood color is initially yellow, but darkens to a rich copper brown over time. I want you to connect the dots as I speak about the tree in the context of Umama Wetula. The wood is very durable, does not require regular treatment with oil or varnish. The wood can be used for a variety of purposes, including boat building, domestic flooring, furniture, and outdoor gates. The tree is feared in some cultures where it originates and is revered with offerings. It takes 130 years of shade for an Iroko to reach 80 centimeters. This speaks to the natural quality of patience of this tree. The wood is tough, dense, and durable. Was Mama Sepanya tough in her own approach? Was she durable? What about patience? This tree is taller than any other tree you can get in West Africa. Was she taller than the rest of us? I suspect that no one in this program is older than her. Every one of the speakers who spoke today, I suspect that no one is taller than her age. Mathematics. Let's talk about numbers a bit. South Africa had a population of 7 million people in 1925. That's the time when she was born. 7 million people only. Today we have close to 60 million people in Johannesburg, or in the country. In the last 103 years, Johannesburg recorded 22 times of snow in the last 103 years, and she's only was approaching 97 shortly. So in her lifetime, she has experienced snow 22 times. I've only experienced snow once in my life in 1981 in Johannesburg. In 1981, that was when we had last snow in Johannesburg. If you look at the population registry in South Africa, the 65% age group constitute about 15% of our population. Now it's 6%. They say people who are over 90, and I read this yesterday, people who are over 90 in this country, there are only 595,000. Maybe today there are 594 because she's no more. That is 0.99% of the population. So she belongs to a very special class of people at that age. Assuming that she retired at the age of 60, then it means that she had lived for her pensionable years for 36 years in her life. That is a lifetime to other people, just to be 36. She worked for almost 40 years. So her working life and her pensionable life, there was a difference of about 4 years. So you can see the strides that she has achieved, just like the Iroko I had mentioned in West Africa. The legacy. Lentokazi Elele Ngokolo will turn 97 in November 25 this year. She once told me that Malerato was the first school to go to the sea, to visit the sea, to see the sea. Olwandle, eThekwini, kweleka banana. Sea, as you know, it's S-E-A. I spoke to the community of Malerato, and I said, let's have a legacy called Sea. She took the kids to the sea in KZN. Now we bring the sea to her life. The sea I'm talking about is the Sepanya Excellence Award. She'll be turning 97 on the 25th of November this year. I proposed to the school that for her birthday, let's have 97,000 rands raised in honor of her for the Sepanya Excellence Award. So the teachers at the school will each donate 1,400 rands, and that will amount to 51,800 rands. And the difference, I will match it up to make it 97,000 rands. Now let me take you to a journey on literature. As we all know that the African continent was split into Anglophone Africa, Lusophone Africa, and Francophone Africa. In Uganda, and I've been there in Kampala, on an occasion like this, when someone has passed on, they say, Omunene, Omukulu, Awumude, Munene. In Zimbabwe, the Shona people, in an occasion like this, they will say, Gamba Guru, Ngarizorere Murugare. And in Francophone Africa, if you go to the DRC, to Senegal, they will say, Je et tombe, vous parlez francois? In Mozambique, our brothers will say, Unabol, Jamajal, se acuñado, alale, pema, peponi, obrigado. And our people in East Africa, in Kenya, they will say, Nduguna Rafiki, wetu, mpemba, amepenzuka, taishushu, witu, alale, pema, peponi. Ulufezi lo Gadson Tombazane, Olakuhambo Sulbonile. And I'm just going to make one remark, MC, as I close. This one, please, no one must say this. You've never heard it. You don't tell anyone about it. I'm sharing it with you only. There's a guy I worked with called Alex. I told you that principal I worked for 40 years. Things that people can do in 40 years. Alex went to boarding school in Natal. When he was 16, he had a child. I said to Alex, Alex, you are a premature father at 16. When he was 37 years old, Alex had a grandchild. His child, lo umtholena 16, ube nomntwana. I said to Alex, Alex, you have become a premature grandfather. Alex this year is 53 years old. Lomntwana lwamtholile oqala grandchild lona 16. Na ube nomntwana. I phoned Alex yesterday. Ngathi kuya Alex, you have become a premature ancestor. Ephilayo. Please don't say this to anyone. Iphelela la le ndaba. Akho umuntu ozomane ngikhomba ukuthi kuyona nabuya ka Alex. I just want to say in 40 years she did what this community deserved, producing leaders, Emalerato. Akaenzanga into zabo pre-what, Esga Alex. Everything she did was on time, Yabong.
I'm recommend State South Africa.
Ke medisa bontate moruti, bontate kaofela, ke dumedisa bomme kaofela, lebitso le letle la Morena ka Jesu. Ke leboga Modimo phirimane hoseng a letsatsi go ba tuleng ena. O re Tafita mo Dipesalema 27 verse 4. A re e teng ntho e le nngwe e ke kopang ho Jehova, gore ke dule tlung ya hae ka matsatsi otlhe a bophelo ba ka. Ke tlo bua ka Mme Sepanya. Mme Sepanya gore ke kene mokgatlo ona wa why. No go na le mekgatlo e le mebedi. O mo ne le wa Women's League. Ka tshakela mokgatlo ona wa Women's League. Ka itholela ha ke tswa ko teng ka fitla hae. Mohlang why e kenang ka tshakela why. Ha ke fitla ho why ba ntlhalosetsa gore why WCA ke eng. Se ke se ratile mo lone ke lebitso lena la C, lebitso la Modimo a leboko. Ha ke fitla ka fumana gore ga gona ntwe e simollang, ha go buli ka ntle ga thapelo. Ka bona gore ke tlo ithuta tse dingata mona tse gore e be chairperson, ba nkgetha gore ke be secretary. Hey, ka tsielega empa ka ithulela. A qoba jwale Mme Sepanya ne re ha ke tlo bala di minutes o na dula a bona gore e ka ba ke ngwetse tsone na. Ha feditse fela ha setse ke badile di minutes di le correct di pasitse peleng ya ka ke re a Morena ke a leboga o nthusitse. Jwale ge go etsagala gore a kgethe yene Mme Sepanya e be secretary nna ka ba chairperson. Ya no kana go ne le secretary e le chairperson ka yona ona rana mosebetsi empa go na le extra bukanyana na le yona no fela ngwala mare ke sa tsebe re ngwala eng. Ya no itse le nna ha ke le chairperson ka batlana le bukanyana eo e ne re ha ke etsa a ngwala Mme Sepanya nna be ke nna ke note le na mo bukeng ya ka tsatsi le leng gore monna hao o chairperson. Why only chairperson o ngwala? Ha bone hore ke nna ke secretary ke a ngwala. A ke maraba Mme Sepanya. Kante the next meeting e tla be le teng. A fitla ke mora ke a bale di minutes. A ba re ha ngwala di minutes. Okay, a ba re ke tla di ngwala ke tla di bala ka tlhoko. A bua kaofela itse ha fetsa remark ya ka ke moretse ka re ha o le secretary write down. Because how fetso bala di minutes re tshwantse re di signele. Ya no ha o sa di ngwala di le mo wena re tlo di signela jwang. A ke re no nthutile gore ke tshwantse ke be bogale ke be straight. Ya ne ke re that is so bona ke tshwere bukanyane ka mothoko. Ke tsetsa gona gore e re ha o sa di ngwala di minutes ke khona o bala tsena tse ke di tshwereng. Aba yes you are right. Ke tsamile le bone ke ithutile ntho tse ngata ene lebitso le ya young why le blela gore young amen yona ge batho na ba botsa gore why le re Young Women Christian Association kante le batho ba bagolo ke nnete ke batho ba bagolo kaofela no bona ba ne re sebetsa ona rata gore re raise di funds. And mo location mona ke a gopola re ne re fiwa tšhelete gore re reke di grocery re fe batho ba tlhopegileng. Yani e be re ngwadisa batho ba nage ba tlhopegileng. Yani batho ka nako ngwe ba tshwenya. Motho mo ntlong e one go tla ngwala 4 go tla ngwala 3. Say name e one but the address is different. Yani ne re ka nako re tlo ntshandi food parcel. Ma Sepanya na tsa stilo abadula mo gate ba setseng ba fodile mo teng ga ba re yo Mme Sepanya teng ba tla ba boela ko morago
Because na ba tseba ka di say name, ha tseba ngwana ga go ko sekolong ka say name, o ka se ka tlo phaka mona. O na re thusa ka ntho e jwang. And o na le brave, wena no ka ke ra motho morare tsamaya o ka se ka kra mona. Mara me Sepanya o na mo point a morare go. Yana ge na ba tseba ge ka tsele e jwalo o na le strict le mo meeting na le strict me Sepanya. Ha o etsa ntho o sa tshwanelang o fitla o sa para ka tsele e tshwanetseng gore kana go runa bo mme ra itebala amen. O bona motho a ntshitse magwafe ka montle amen. Kana go ha ina mamona wa bona mona ke kante le tsula mo dibile re mmele wa motho ke tempele. O na go blela gore ga wa apara. Ha go na le bothata ne re romela me Sepanya di office ne re thuswa ke me Sepanya. Ha go na le e mo di councileng ne re romela me Sepanya. O tla bona re okay leave I will go and again ne to tla tsamaya. Ne re phela ka me Sepanya. Ya gopola bele gore re ya go Dube go akhiwa center go Dube. A go akhiwa center go Dube re tsamile le me Sepanya once re na le bo Ospop. The second time ba re tsamayang le bone tsele ya go ya go. Me Sepanya wena ha ya ke re no to iswa ke ntate Sepanya. No, I'm not going. Re tla tsamaya ha re kena go Dube me Sepanya o tla ba kena mo. Ya no Ospop tla ba re hey me Mampho na se ba tlo tsamaya le go. Go tshware bo mme ba tla rana the meeting go be monate ka tsele makatsang. Na go ngore robale go te utlwe gore le rena re utlwile bo monate re tswile di auto ka tsatsile ha rana di lotseo. So go etsagala ga gore go rekiwe okay tata.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol observed. When I was asked to speak about Mema Sepanya on behalf of the organization YWCA, what question came to my mind? Who am I to fill such big shoes and bid farewell to such a great person? Am I worthy for such honor of speaking about such an amazing woman? Mema Sepanya knew her purpose in life and pursued it to the benefit of the creation as a whole. And it is attested in Psalm 16, verse 11. I quote, "You have made known to me the path of life." She lived a righteous life and embraced transformation. She was an activist, an astute leader, loving and caring mother, anchor of strength to many, full of knowledge and wisdom. She served wholeheartedly and truthfully till her last days. Her role in YWCA: she was one of the YWCA Dube Residence Project initiators. She also was part of the fundraising for that big building. She was the president of the National YWCA, now known as World Affiliated Young Women Christian Association, and she called it the University Without Walls. When she interviewed me, because she led the HR committee, she said, "I want to have a robust discussion with you after your interview." And when we discussed, she asked me about the 4 areas of life. That is the mind, body, soul, and the spirit. And she said, "How are you going to assist people to live according to the will of God?" And we had a long chat. That's when I decided that I want to be closer to her, much more than ever. She diligently facilitated the YWCA enrollment services when members were taking a vow. And she said to us, "When you vow, you should serve the people accordingly, and you must not go back. O jara sefapano mahetleng a hao, no matter the trials that you'll have." She gave advices to the World Council Planning Committee while we were preparing for the 29th World Council, which was the first to be held in South Africa in 2019, and the second in Africa, which happened in 2009. It happened in Kenya in 2009. And she afforded us an opportunity to meet her daughter, Ausin Tabiseng. She said Ausin Tabiseng will advise us in other areas. So she'll be missed by all, and her work will continue. On the 16th of June, YWCA Dube will be declared a heritage site, and Ms. Panya's name will be on the roll call of the fallen stalwarts. YWCA thanks the family for sharing their mother with us, and allowing her to travel the world to represent us as the country in all the activities of YWCA.
Thank you. Lieutenant, thank you very much. Now, in this order, I've got now 8 minutes before I hand over to Muruti. Now, Mañano, Litlakapina Yalona, and then you have your representative, the class leader follows, the church stewards follows, and the life history Mama obituary follows. In that order. Is Zanige Mama? Is this old lady would not allow this. Now, Kilibidite, Bright Hour Bomang, all of you fall into that first category, Kilibidite.
So they came after one after the other.
Please wrap it up, I'm getting into another section. Bright Hour, please. No, no, Sakuli, please, Mawam. Please, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, Kana. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Please, no defiance. No defiance. No.
Aki dumedise baruti baba lentemo, and let me say all protocol observed. It's a pleasure for Bright Hour, a group that has been formed by Mampho in 1991. One abona ditlhoko tsa kereke when she saw old ladies cleaning the church. And at that time, Ntate Sepanya in a steward. And she realized, if we are going to use these old ladies, that's when their children complain, I will have to stand for Ntate Sepanya. Then she started recruiting the young ladies in church, saying, Bana beso, anke re kopane ka ntle ka mona, re tle re tlo bua. Then she said to us, how about us forming a group that is going to be able to help in church for the small things that the church needs? And that is when this group, Bright Hour, started, because we only had one group, so Bright Hour came in to assist the Kulani. And we started doing so much in this church. The first thing that we bought to help the church go on is buying the Hoover for cleaning. It was still that old church, the Smolanyana church. We bought the Hoover for cleaning. We bought the runners that were on the side of the church. And the next thing that we bought, the most important of them all, we used to buy the real sacramental wine and the wafers, which we bought for 2 years as Bright Hour. And that was a contribution that was done by the ladies out of their pockets without having any bank account. And then after discussing about a project, would all agree on a particular time that at this time, this project must be achieved. Then we'd be able to do that. And then all those, and willingly and diligently, we served this church. We are one of the people who also contributed in buying one of these lamps. Renera contributor in the financing of installing the alarm system in the church. We also bought chairs, tablecloths, chair covers, runners, and tie bags. That is for us, if we have an occasion here at church, those things must be used. So we'd like to say to Bright Hour, let us continue the legacy. Mampho Alisio, let us continue, because Uri Rutile. And for the church, we are going to keep the legacy. We are going to go on with what Mampho has taught us to do. Sikeng ya kwa Sepanya, re re halala tlhagola le bangwe. Le rona re kgetsemegile. Empane hobane modimo o motle, o tla re etsa gantle. Re tlo sebetsa ka mokgwa Mampho a rutileng ka teng. Le dule le ntse le tseba gore Bright Hour in le gae la rona le Mampho. But now with this candle, which I'm going to present to Ntabiseng to Osmutsidisi, ke kerese e tswang ko okay, kerese ena e tswa ko mokgatlong wa barutegi maobane they were able to present. They say with this candle, know that Mema Sepanya is a member of Wereta. And every time you think of Wereta, light this candle and remember Mema Sepanya about the good work that she did with us, Wereta. And with Bright Hour, we are now going to extinguish the candles. Retima libitola Mampho, kamutas ha Bright Hour, mukerekeng ya rona. Modimo wa kgotso a letse gante ka Kriste morena, amen.
hlompha seruti kaofela se teng lesika le hlabilweng ke lerumo phutheho ya modimo e feletse nako re patisitse fela ra leboha modimo o re kadimme letsatsi lena la kajeno hore re tlo re Mampho Sepanya go well nkgono wa rona re leboha bophelo bo modimo a kila mo kadima bona me Mampho ra mmona pela rona a theosanyolosa a sebeletsa modimo re dumelle hle modimo re beye buka ena e leng Mampho Pauline Sepanya shelfung ya hao ya lehodimo mo ke kenya jewa ke bo teng re leboha bophelo bo modimo a mo adimileng nkgono mme wa rona a inehela ho sebeletsa modimo re leboha bana ba hae ba ileng ba mo lokolla ho iketsa sehlabelo sa community ha re sheba sefela sa hae mme Mampho 214 difileng tsa rona tsa Setswana sa Wesele o re ke se ke utlwile Jesu ha pizza o mpona ke le fela ke lahlehile wena wa reng wa mpholosa modimo o bile le mme Mampho o mo file matla re kopa modimo a re fe matla le rona ho qetela mosebetsi ona wa hae wa borumuwa she offered herself o kutsi kana ko etelele ba o ne a tepeletse ka ho batho ba le mo hore Mampho na le bothata ba loto ho ba nona sa itepeletsa o qadile a tsamaya ka crash le nngwe a qetela a tsamaya ka fonyaho a ntse a etla merapelong ene re ha hlaha ka na tlase mole ha dikoloi di ema mo re mmona re a theoha re lo monka re mo fihlisa mo thapelong ho buile ka mme Mampho Masepanya ka botlalo a qetela ho tla merapelong ke molatile una founa una le di Uber tseo a neng a di founela mona di molata ke molatile ra tla re fihla mo re ema mo monyako mo a the o kenetswe ko kitchening ho hlaha mme o monka bo kena ka re utlwa ho binwa a re hao mme yo jwale ha sa re jwetsa hore ho kenwa ka ho kenwe ka kitchening ka mo re kena le rona ka mo ka kitchening re kena thapelo ho yena jwale ka nako eo a emang ho tlo paka lentswe Mampho o bina sefela sa Sexhosa 253 difileng tsa rona sa Sexhosa a bina ka chanti tsele tsa bonkgono tsa khale ha Mampho jwanong style se jwanong se tswa guys ra se bina sefela sena le bonkgono ba ntse ba ituma maleme empa ra se bina temana ya ho qetela e reng dilundwendwe
Little did we know, or remember Sepanya, when I sensitize our ladies, it's a lady. Bege latela mwafo na urmaneso lotulena halian tobatsa. Hakino khona ho. Ba ko qadile
ho hatelwa Mampho Sepanya rile ra tshwara birthday ya hae lapeng a re laela ke a leboga bana ba mme Mampho ha le phethisitse jwale ka ha a ile a kopa a re nna box ya ka e be tshweu a laela Mampho a re wena Maphito Bambina le wena Mamei le tshwareng flag a re nna ha ke na blouse e tlanye fanyehwa mane e ka re ke washing blouse ya ka ha e fanyehwe hobane ha o tsebe matsoho a e tshwarang ke matsoho a mofuta mang a re sa ka seaparo ha se fanyehwe mme Mampho o bolokile ditshepiso tsa hae morapelong o bile le mamello o tshepahetse o bolokile melo o bile le lerato, o bile le kutlwelo bohloko, o bile le tshwarelano. O ile a bina chorus ka mehla hore sefuba sa ka hare ho sefuba sa hae. Mampho ha ntse a tsamaya dinako tsa hae tsa ho qetela. There is a race that I must run. There is a race that I must run. Ha boyepa o ntse o nyoloha. Give me power every hour to be through. Hadina jwale Mampho o ne a re nkapese ka matla sefeleng sa hae wala ka sebele o nhlolele sebe ka mehla o nketse mohale hobane moyepa wa nyolosetsa ke tla ke kgona ho fihla ke qete leeto la ka. A re ke e fihlile nako ya me ka motsotso wa jwale o bina Setswana jwale. A re fihlile nako ya me tiro ya Modimo no nthumile yona e fedile. A re mme tumelo ga e rorome loso falutsile. Mampho wa rona nkgono wa rona Mema Sepanya a re mmele ga o thubega ga ke belaele mowa kgale o tshwenyega o tla nna o tshela. Mampho Sepanya o dire mohale wa nnete wa tumelo. Tsamaya o yo phomola hodima mesebetsi ya gago gobane wena Mampho o kile wa ba lesedi ka hare go bonkgolo ba thapelo. O ne a instructor ho builwe ka yena bathong ka botlalo, ho builwe ho na le di-page nyana tse ding tse tsamayang di salla morago, empa ha ona taba re tla di kenyeletsa di tla kena bukeng ena e lo beiwang ka shelfong ya lehodimo e kekeng ya jewa ke bohlwa. Ha ile tsika yotlhe yo ra Sepanya yo ra Sejanamane yo ra Sephamla re a leboga Modimo na re tshepisitse hore Mampho tla phela le rona se di segang ba gaetso. Nkgono a robale ka khotso, rakgadi a robale ka khotso, mme a robale ka khotso. Dinthong tsohle tseo a di entseng re a leboga bana beso. Lile la molokolla bo Nthabiseng bo Motshidisi la molokolla. You know, a leader always ikeke ya hloka ho ngatwa ka matjhe, empa ho ngateng ka matjhe ha hae Mema Sepanya o ile a thola ritu ya ba Stefani a leletsa mahlo a hae lehodimong a re moya wa ka a ko phole ka khotso ke o nehela matsohong a hao. Tsamaya Mema Sepanya re tla go gopola. We are going to miss you ko merapelong ya Labone mme wa di-projects re ne re ntsha hanyane empa the outcome ya mesebetsi ya Mmasepanya e ne makatsa e ne ba meholo. Tate Mthize ke bohloko ditafole tse Mamphana di reka enngwe ke ele ka mole e robetse ka mokokotlo. I am saying this because ke sebeditse le yena 1986 ho fihla 95 ya re kereke ha re romela ka ntle ka mo ntse re lelera ha re.
I joined ka sebetsa Ntate Mthize a re gogo izana umsebenzi ukhona ke ne ke sa itaele ke ne ke sebedisiwa ke kopiwa ke Ntate Mthize. I joined projecteng ya ditafole.
Okay.
I'm very sad di robetse ka mokokotlo ka mole.
Okay. Okay.
Se segang ba gaetso Modimo na re adimile, Modimo o buile o latile a ho roriswe lebitso la Modimo a be le lona a le hlogonolo fatshe. Hona le kerese kimo ya bomme ba Labone e na le sefatlo sa Mampho e tla ya lapeng le yona ka Labone re ntshitse maobane re ntshitse enngwe ke yena e tla ya lapeng ke lesedi le Mampho a na tsamaya ka lona a re kgantsetsa ka lona. Re a leboga Modimo a ntse hantle.
Manbele muva ningaculi lebo Askat, that's him. Lebo Sepanya, come for the obituary, please. Lebo Sepanya. Yagala Gimo.
Re nehela mme wa rona ho moruti pata Mema Sepanya jwale ka lesole le ne ne se kgathamela masisi o na sa tshabe letho dintho ha di hlaha ka pele e be tshala ngesifuba ethi umsebenzi bawenze re nehela ho wena re a leboga.
Thank you, Mama. Stella Lebo Atamela, please. Lebo Sepanya, Kikupariyeme. There's an obituary. I'm negotiating now, Mureri. We've got only 3 minutes, unfortunately. And this 3 minutes, it's also Espanya, Abala obituary. After that, Recope, the class leader and secretary, Leonard Lori, on top of the church. Good night, Maroon. Are you passing the speaker? Go for it,
Pauline Elizabeth Mamoizadi Mampho Sepanya, born Sejanamani, was born on the 25th November 1925 in Lewisham Township, Krugersdorp. She was the third of 6 children, 4 girls and 2 boys, of the late Moselanja and Masipoleleng Sejanamani. Mampho, as she was fondly known, started her primary education at St. Peter's Catholic Primary School in Lewisham. She proceeded to the then Western Native School in Sophiatham, which later became Madibane High School, where she obtained a secondary education. She proceeded to St. Thomas Catholic Teaching Training College in Rosettenville, where she completed her teacher's diploma. Mampho met the late Arthur Sepanya Mpahlele, and they were married on the 23rd December 1950. They were blessed with 5 children: the late Mpho, Lesenyeho, Mutsidisi, Teboho, and Tabise. Mampho started her teaching career at St. Peter's in Lewisham, where her education foundation was laid. After she got married, she relocated to Randfontein and started teaching at Maputle Primary School in Beggersdal, Western area. She later moved to Matlabeng Primary School in Mohlakeng. In 1964, she went to teach in Ipopeng Primary School under Mr. Mohapi. When Mr. Mohapi was promoted to teach at Bahamas Secondary School, Mampho's leadership qualities had already been identified, and she was promoted to head the school, which was later renamed Malerato Primary School. This made her one of the first black women principals in the then Transvaal. She headed Malerato Primary School until she retired in 1991. The school was known for its good quality education and dedicated teachers, and was always first in the West Rand in a number of areas in education. During her tenure as principal, she taught maths and English, 2 subjects that she loved and enjoyed and was known for. In 1995 and 6, she was brought out of retirement and asked to head the Robinson Mine School with a specific brief to revive teaching and learning for that community. This in typical Mampho style she did with distinction and continues to be fondly remembered by the Robinson Mining Company. Maspanya, as she was popularly known, was a dedicated and long-term member of the Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA. She held several portfolios at national level in the organization and gave leadership to such legends as Dr. Ellen Kuzwayo, Nonia Rampomane, Dina Mavuso, Mule Mpaganye, and Joyce Seroke. As part of the leadership of this dynamic organization, she traversed the country initiating women and youth development initiatives. They produced several young and not so young leaders who formed part of the cohort of MPs in the 1994 democratic government, one of which became the first and only woman deputy president of the country. As early as the mid-80s, Mampho was part of the Y leadership that mooted and developed a women's residence in Soweto. Today, the center is a hub of refuge and activity for young women who come to Gauteng to study and work. In addition to this work nationally, she initiated the Mohlakeng branch of the Y, as it is fondly known. She represents the organization in several platforms, both nationally and internationally. She was a devoted member all her life. As an executive member of the Mohlakeng community, Mampho served on the executive committee of the Mohlakeng Child Welfare Society for many years, ensuring that the best interests of children in the community is known and respected. She also religiously participated in the annual mental health awareness campaigns organized by the local mental health centers and hospitals in the area until age caught up with her. Last but not least, Mampho was a dedicated member of Mohlakeng branch of the Mohlakeng Women's Manyano. As a Manyano member, she initiated several projects in the church and participated in all activities, including the rebuilding of the church a few years ago. She was a founding member of the Methodist Bright Hour Women's Fellowship, a role that enabled her to merge her love for church and community. Bright Hour continues to play a critical role in the development of the church in terms of both infrastructure and spiritual guidance to the ministers and members. Mom, as her children called her, is survived by her 4 children, Lesenyeho, Mutsidisi, Teboho, and Ntabiseng, 4 grandsons, Lekhoto, Utsile Mokhale, Lebohang, Mpho, and a great-grandson, Puseletso. Robala ka khotso Mokwena, utitime sebaka.
Ngizothanda ukubingelela abafundisi nebandla lonke nefamily yakwaSepanya ngithi dudu ngithi nize nibambelele engubeni kaJesu nizothola khona uqina bazali bami umama uSepanya bekuyi class leader khona manje ngimele umama Jacobus Mahlangu ongazange aphumelele ukuza ngendaba yomsebenzi. So umama uSepanya bekuyi class leader yami ngifikele kuye nomama uHilda Tebenari. So bekuwabogogo ababukhali kungabogogo abasabayo uNkulunkulu kungabogogo abayigcinayo imithetho kaNkulunkulu. Yiko kuze kwafikelela kulesikhathi bahamba emhlabeni ngeminyaka engaka 90 something. Umama uSepanya eklasini besingena lapha ya mara wasikhipha wasenza ukuthi songena eholweni ngoba efuna ukusifundisa ngobuwesele siyazi ukuthi ubuwesele yini kuze kuqale kube ubuwesele kwaqala kanjani kwaqala uJohn Wesley. So
esifundisa futhi nangokunikela eklasini, esifundisa nangokuziphatha kahle emzini yethu nokufundisa abantwana kahle. Ay umama uSipanya ngazi ngakhulumani ngaye ngithini, bekumuntu oyileader emafurufuru leader efundisayo esibonisayo zonke izinto.
Amen. Thank you very much. Umkhokheli ngifuna ukuxolisa kuwe neclass yakho singakunikanga imizuzu eminingi ngoba iclass is the foundation of the Methodist Church of South Africa. Now sizonikeza manje umfundisi ozosishiyela imessage ugosa nangu sefikile, but umfundisi si negotiate ukuthi senze show ukuthi uthola imizuzu yakhe efanele yokuthi athi baba hayi kumama scriptural. So ungathuki mongameli wami, leyo isezandleni zethu, mabeshaya thina ngamatshe usinde wena.
Ke tlo boloka nako ke dumedise baruti bo botlhe, ke dumedise moakamedi losika la bo Rasejana Mani le ba Sepanya, ke re all protocol observed. Ke kopa go fetisa tsebiso ena ya mo kerekeng pele ke tla kena mo tsa kereke. Bereavement announcement of Mr. David Masibi, address 8771 Ndeni Avenue, Kagiso, Dithapelo le Poloko, Wednesday 18 May, ke ntate Lefu a tsamaya YNG and Men's League. Thursday 19 wa bulukiwa 19 May, kamogelo ya mofu from 7 o'clock to 7:30. Pitlo 8 to 10, send of service ka ntate Ntsele. Amoaganta David Masibi Balaka Kagiso. Transport is free, organized for Wednesday prayers, and it will depart from church ka 17:45. Baratang Huya Dithapelong ba tla kwadisa mabiso ko ntate Basi. Ke fetise tshediso go masika otlhe a feletseng mona, ke re modimo na re neile, modimo o boetse o tsere re orise lebitso la ga Kriste. Ke le busetse morago ke re lefatshe ke la ga Jehova le tsotlhe tse di mo go lone, le rona re batho ba ga Jehova. Thato ya modimo e phethagetse mo lefatsheng, se belaele sepe gone le dirile tsotlhe tse a lelaetseng tsona. Lona le tla dula mo maotong a Jesu jaaka Maria na dutse maotong a Jesu. Amen. Mokamedi moruti lekeka mme Pauline Mampho Sepanya, ke monela ho wena le mo bolokeng ya ka leloko la Wesele le neng le in good standing. A kry phitlho e mo tshwanetseng jaaka setse a pakilwe. Amen.
Oh
re fumaneng palo ya rona ya lentswe yona e fumane attachmenteng ya kgale buka ke a dipesa le me sa tafita kgaolo ke a leshome le motsomong re ba le temana ya pele go ema go ya bohlano ke tlobolla mo phetoleleng e ntšha haeba o tshwere phetolo ya kgale mohlomong re tla fapana le mane ka mantswe ha re mameleng modimo e le mothusi wa rona ke tshabela go morena
Psalm 11
Psalm 11 ke tshabela go morena ke ha le go honna ba lehela thabeng jwalo ka nonyana ba kgopo ba se ba hula dikha tsa bona ba hwesa metsi ya bona ba hwesa ba lefifing ba hula ba pele dintle ha metheo e se heleditswe ya lokileng a ka etsa eng morena o ka tempeleng ya hae e halalelang terone ya morena e mahodimong mahlo a hae a bona bana ba batho o ba tadimisisa wa ba hlahloba morena o hlahloba ya lokileng le ya kgopo ya sehlo yena o mo hlohile ke lentswe la modimo e se ka modimo ka hlofatsa pelong tsa lona go ba mehileng modimo a letse hantle ka Jesu Kriste morena wa rona amen
a ke nke nako ena bomme le bontate a ke nke nako ena bomme le bontate mandithabathe ithuba bomama notata ke dumedise bishop wa ka ntate Mtambo bulise ba bishop wa mookamedi wa sekete Mezita mongameli wesekete umfundisi uZitha bomme mamruti le bontate mruti ba ba leng teng kwano omama omamfundisi lesifundisi sonke sikhona ke nke go boloka nako ke re lebitsong la ntate ndingaphosisanga maseko ndithe kameni loyise le la mora elenyana le la moya o boitshepo ne le moya o ingcwele ke a le dumedisa kaofela mandibulise nonke amen amen mori badileng lengolo lena la dipesalema apho sifunde khona kwindumiso sika Davide ke rata hore ha re felehetsa yena motswadi wa rona ndithanda ukuthi xa sikhapha umzali wethu le rona re sala re itshidisa ba ba leng teng ka mona mmoho le ba leloko nathi sishiyeka sisithuthuzela kunye nabekhaya re tle re itshidise ka mantswe ana re a fumanang temaneng ya boraro sisithuthuzele ngamazwi esiwafumana kwivesi yesithathu mo lengolong lena la dipesalema apha kule ncwadi yendumiso ha metheo ilitswi xa imixokozelo iphelelwe ba lokileng ba tla etsa jwang abalungileyo bazawukwenza njalo if foundations are destroyed xa i-foundation zichithwa,
What can the righteous do?
abalungileyo bangenza ntoni na?
Ke se ke tlatsa
xa i-foundation seyiphelelwe,
Ba lokileng ba tla ya kae?
amalungisa azawuyaphina.
Pesalemiye e re fa ya e ngotsweng hore na ke mang ya e ngotseng.
Le ndumiso iyazicacisa okokuba ibhalwe ngubani.
Ibile e re fa le batho ba e ba ngoletsweng.
Futhi isinike nabantu abayibhalileyo.
Ho dumela hore Pesalemiye e ngotswe ke Dafita.
Kuyangqinwa okokuba le ndumiso ibhalwe nguDavida.
Dafita ha ngola psalm yena
Davide xa ebhala le ndumiso
o ingella the chief musician
ubhalela abaculi abaphezulu
yena ya binang ilisibili sesiholo
ocula engumculi ophezulu
sibili sena sesiholo ke modimo wa Israel
eli inqanaba eliphezulu inguthixo kaIsrayeli
yena le moeteledipele wa dikhwaere tsa Israel
uye obenkokheli yabaculi bakaIsrayeli
ke yena yo ka nako yela
nguye ngelo xesha
ha o no bile batho ba ba tshwanang le bo Hermane
xa bekhona abantu abafana noHerani apha kaJuwe
yo a neng a eteletse pele
yena ubekhokhela phambili
ha o bile batho
cula abantu
ba ba tshwanang le bo
noAbeto
le Joela ba ne ba letsa diharepa
ba becula ngemihobe
ba betsa ditlatsi
bebetha ikostina
ba binela modimo
beculela uthixo wabo
ba binela modimo wa Israel
culela uthixo kaIsrayeli
ka nako yena
ngelo xesha
go na le molaetsa
khona umyalezo
otamo Dafita
ofikayo kuDavida
ore Dafita ka makala mahemo
daba ngenxa yemeko
amahemo a bophelo
meko zobomi
bolinkare ho bona
ephakathi kwaso
baliela hodima thaba
balekela phezu kwentaba
okaboloke bophelo
uze ukhile ubomi
oboloke bophelo ba gae
ukhile ubomi bakhe
ha metheo e helilwe
xa uqinisiwa ifoundation
ekaba ba lokileng
ingaba amalungisa
ba tla etsa jwang
azakwenza njani na
uDavida
Davida ithetha
a re ha ke no balia
uthadila ubaleka
maemo a jwang a bophelo
uthi noba imeko zobomi zinjani
re se nka se etsang
into ndizawuyenza
nka tshepo ya
uthathela imithemba
ka e fa modimo
ndinikeza kuthixo
in the Lord
ngelo xesha
I put my trust.
ndithatha ithemba lam
How can you say
ungathini na
to my soul,
emoyeni wam
ore momoya wam,
uthini kumoya wam
ha re ke balia,
uthi mandibaleke
na ke no balia,
na ngekhe ndabaleka
ke nka tshepo yam,
ithemba ndizawuthatha
isa uJehova,
ise kuyehova ubuqu
ha metheo e hilehile,
foundations ezidilikile
ekaba nka balihela kae?
ingaba ndingabalekela kubanina Davida
Ufumana advice
ufumana ingcebiso
ya hore a balia
yokuthi abaleke
maemo a leng ka hare ho ona.
ngenxa yemeko asifumane kuso
Empa Dafita ra ke na o bala
kodwa uDavida uthi ngeze ndabaleka
ke nka tshepo ya ka
uthela ithemba
ke e beha ho Jehova.
ndizawubeka kuyehova
Davida ho na ho tshwana
befana
ka tsela yena
ngale ndlela
hore Dafita
uthi uDavida
lerumo le hlaba pelo ya
lolele lingahlabi intliziyo yam
le re ho Dafita
uthi uDavida
mo hloohong ya hao
apha entloko yam
ho behile gane
kubekwe isibhamu
se tlosang bophelo ba hao.
esinothabathi ubomi bam
Wena Dafita baliya tsietsie
baleka nenze mnakhe
empa Dafita
uDavida yena
a re nna
uthi mna
ke nka tshepo ya ka
thathela mithemba
ke e fa Jehova,
ndinikeza kuyehova
ke e fa Jehova.
ndiyipha uyehova
A re ho balia
uthi ukubaleka
it will be ungodly advice.
ngeke
enobuthixo ixabeli keletso izawube iliyelenqe ixabe sina modimo ka hare elizawube lingena thixo ngaphakathi ka ba ka hopola ndakhumbula jesu ha re ho yesu efete kupitros a re ke a sefapanong etithe mnqamlezweni yaba pitoro upitros o leka ho thibela jesu wazama ukwenza batiletile umnqandi yesu gore ha o na ho fihla sefapanong usuteka ufike emnqamlezweni ha foundation isehilehile ka foundation idika eseyiwile seyisiwa ekaba ke tla etsa jwang ndizawukwenza njani na ke eng seo ke tla se etsa ntoni ndizawuyenza bona le bontata bomama notata ka nako yena ngelo xesha yabonakala foundation iwile ekari iwile ngathi iwile izawuphela eyobomi bophelo bodafita ubomi bukadavida bophelo bodafita ubomi bukadavida kanako yena ngelo xesha nabini yaribulala izibhalo ezingcwele resoulo Saulo sekahambile foundation isaulo ngelo mission kasaulo seyiphelele foundation foundation kasamuele seyile foundation yena Joshua seyile foundation nguMoses seyile foundation nguSarah Elizabeth seyile Maria King seo re ka se etsa foundation iwile kereke icawe le lona le ne le bua nani cabe lithetha foundation iwile community phakathi le lona le ne le bua nani belithetha foundation iwile basebenzi ngoho ebemisebenza kulo leMaspanya yelona linelibuwa ani batwana yelona liyabuwa liyathetha foundation ile kinsore kasiyetha intoni esingayenza litsatsi lakashoko alemini namhlanje kinsore kasiyetha intoni esingayenza abalungileyo bakayenza amalungisa David akekho ngaluka monkayante apho yakhona bona le bontaba mama notata hayilen kawajim lewe ridi asset sesamuli esingashukumeza Yes, ekholweni ha foundation iwile jwale ka di-asset tse sa tsamaile ha foundation iwile re etse jwang senze njani ha foundation iwile a re duleng thapelong ha re duleng thapelong ha foundation iwile utlwa Dafita a re Jehova o ka hara tempele ungaphakathi kwetempile e ka ba Dafita o reng Dafita uthini kuthi ha re Jehova o ka hara tempele phakathi kwetempile bonne le bontata ka montshwana Jehova ha tsamaye a ka hambi umile ha una mayang apha yakhona tempele yena tempileni ha una mayang yakhona umile Jehova naye masimthembe ho ya ka o sa feleng uyangena phakade o re Dafita a re Jehova a re God uThixo is still in his throne o sesebuqaqawini o sa dutse mo throneng ya esale morena mo throneng ya hae ebuqaqawini bakhe God is still in control uThixo nguye osenelungelo ke yena a sa tshwereng nguye osenelungelo ubomi ba rona kwiintlungu zethu ditsietsing ezingxakini zethu mathateng ebunzimeni bethu Jehova nguye osayesatshwereng nguye osawungamela ya troni nguye osebuqaqawini yena morena nguye unkosi o tla duleng uzawuhlala unkosi ha tsohle zonke sezidlulile ha tsohle zonke ziphelile Jehova yena o santse a tshwere yohlala ha foundation idilikile ke tla etsa jwang takwenza njani na ke tla etsa jwang intoni ndizawuyenza Bibele ya Seheberi yare izibhalo ezingcwele zesiyabhere zithi iri ha foundation iwile ithi xa ifoundation idilikile babasatsibe mthapelo abangazi lo mthandazo ikaba babasatsibe mthapelo ingaba aba bangazi lo mthandazo batla etsa jwang bazakwenza njani na impa bana baMampho kodwa bantwana bakaMampho lona letseba thapelo mina niyawazi umthandazo niyatsiba hore na le tla tshabela niyazi uba nawuphephelaphi ore Dafita o hopola uthi Davide xa ukhumbula hopola lerato khumbula uthando lukaThixo hopola lerato la Modimo khumbula uthando lukaThixo hore favor ya Modimo ukuthi inqaba kaThixo ke lerato la hao uthando lwakhe abahopola Dafita khumbula uDavida hore na ikaba ke yini intoni na sekankgabanya nohlukanisa le lerato la mothando lukaThixo le lerato la mothando lukaThixo bonne le bontata mama notata Modimo wa rona ha foundation e santsene mokgothatsi ha foundation e sale motsheetsi yena ya re tsheeditse yena ya re tsheeditse ha foundation ha ke fihla qetellong xa ndifika ekugqibeleni ke batla ho etsa setshwantsho ke sena ndifuna ukwenza umzekeliso nanko setshwantsho sa morena umzekeliso wenkosi yeo bana ba hae ba neng ba ya ntweng abantwana bakhe besiya emfazweni balolwana beyolwa edabini o re ho bona uthi kubo jwale ka bane ba tsamaya ka skepe njengoba bebehamba ngeskepe a re ha le kgutla ntweng uthi xa sibuya emfazweni ngenqanawe ha le hlotse uba ninqobile le mora wa ka le yena a phela nonyana wam nize naye phila ye le tsamaileng le yena le ya ntweng enihambe naye ukuya edabini litle libeye flaga ye tshweu ze nithabathe ibhanile emhlophe ke tla bona ka yona hore le hlotse ndizawubona ngebhanile emhlophe okokuba ninqobile bayentse jwalo ba tsamaya bayanjalo babheke edabini ha ba fihla kontweng xa befika emfazweni bahlola ntwa bayinqoba imfazwe ha ba hlotse ntwa xa beyinqobile imfazwe balibala ha ba ntse ba tla jwalo ba bina njalo bevuma ingoma ba ntse ba tla ba bina njalo bevuma ingoma kgosi ha e re ya sheba kumkani wathi ukuqaphela ubona sikepe siyatla pina yudimo ubona inqena uyeza ingoma iphezulu fela utho yenu makatsana kodwa umnqa apha kuye flaga ke flaga yentsho ibhanile ngemnyama fela batla bahobela ka hara hoskebesa becula kgosi yawa ke pelo inkosi yawa ngenhliziyo kanti ntho abayenze kanti into abayenzileyo balibetse ho tshintsha flaga balibele ukutshintsha ibhanile bayetse flaga yetshwebu kusale kwibhanile emhlophe sewutirata isibuya omfuna ukusitsho kisela bonnele bontayo kokuba omama notata uyahaya nemasipana uyagoduka uyakhaya uyahaya nemasipana uyakhaya umabuspana uyahaya nemasipana uspana uyakhaya lakhatyetshe uhanile ngemhlophe abayikala nantsi abevakela ilizwi lamambali ngobani nabo waperindiyapara uibe izambe lawarotsetso njani na ibhani leyo wala komra asibuyele mva shaba flaga ya hao ibhani leyo khohlama flaga ya hao iflag yakho flaga iflag emnyama hayilore kemnyama tshintsha flag ibhani leyo tshintsha flag iflaga yakho yonke flag uthethe iflag flaga yethu emhlophe kaKristu Jesu umreno wa rona Yesu Kristu Nkosi yethu amen arapeleni masithandazeni Onkopo leyama onkopo egameni loyise egameni lonyana egameni lomoya oyingcwele wena ongothixo omnye oziqu sithathu amen siyakubulela thixo wethu siyakubonga mzali siyakubonga nzulundini yemfihlakalo umudimo yamuhau umudimo yamusa umudimo yalireku umudimo rikantse wena umudimo yokhogileng boraeshu mo dinageng tsa lenyora umudimo o ileng wa tsamaya le bona wa tataisa modimo ke wena yo qenehelang bohle ba ikatametsang ho wena re kopa tshwarelo ya dibitsa rona njulu ndimi yesimanga nyana ka thixo ohlalo kusebantwini olangama oboneuneyo bamazulu olathi wakubona uluntu lonke lufele sonweni yasika imfesane ngumangaliso awabinakho wokunyamezela wakubona imbeleko iqhawukile phakathi kothixo nomzali wakhe kukelela amandla amakhulu uthi umntu wamanilanda futhi ekhondweni uzama ukuyisa uxolo phakathi komntu nomdali wakhe usithumela inkokheli ubathumela uDavide wade wabuza into kokuba uyintoni nalethi into umnomelele kangaka kumkani ingcwele kumkelela amandla amakhulu ekugqibeleni wathumela inyana lakhe kuphela komseleyo ukuze bonke abakhulayo bangatshabalali nanko simbonile Gogotha bemane ukumtshitela bemane ukumdudula makhulu sasibona nathi singamadlafu singamanikiniki amathathu into ezingento sinegunya lokungena njalo kwesibingelelo salibiza igama lakho kumgari amandla amakhulu zaxolela izono zethu yilonto sisithi namhlanje ukufa akunasabelo ezimpilweni zethu kumkani ingcwele siyabukela ngelizwi lakho siyabukela sonini nanini siyazi okokuba umama wethu wephila kwehlabathi likaneno kumkani ingcwele siyacela ezongelosi mazolula izandla zimamkele kwelo khaya kumkani namandla amakhulu thamsanqala usikelele xa sizawuphuma kumkani ingcwele kumkani ingcwele sithembisile okokuba yakudilika ifoundation masibalekele kuwe kumkani namandla amakhulu siyabemema isihlobo nezalamane masibalekele kuwe kumkani ingcwele xa sizawuphuma asithathe for granted okokuba siyakufitshane amba nathi ezindleleni usikhusele kumkani ingcwele cela sifuna Yesu Kristu egameni loyise elonyana nelomoya wengcwele amen.
Someone, thank you.
As arranged, orderly. Thank you. Itamabili, Wayari, Uladelevare, then Baruti, Muramunu, Repalisika, the dignity, Yaure, Iskeraba Katakata, Skaraita Stampede. Please, I'll move you.